This is the part where reality hits you in the face. Stage 4, feasibility. So at the end of the last stage, we had found our supplier at the Canton Fair who was using a really interesting technique. It felt like they were going to be able to produce something that was closest to what we could imagine. And in order to make that a reality, the next step for them was to make a mold. And for that, you need 3D artwork. Our previous solution was to use textured fabric that was already on the roll. But because we couldn't find a solution that was off the shelf, it meant that we would have to make a custom roll ourselves. Each of those rolls is 400 meters long by 1.42 wide. We only need about a meter squared to make a sample. Whilst this solution isn't cheap, it allowed us to definitely iterate in a much more manageable way. So we got onto Upwork to find an amazing 3D artist that could bring some sort of fantasy work to life. But we had a stumbling block. We couldn't find one. None of them had really designed for this type of product. And ultimately, it felt like we were compromising on either the 2D side or the 3D side. So we decided to split it. Find a kick-ass 2D designer and then hand it off to a 3D artist that could turn that 2D art into something amazing in 3D. Now, by pure coincidence, one of the artists we found for the 2D work was actually a commissioned Wizard of the Coast artist. And this was really important because they actually understood the end product and they understood the buyers. We had that 2D artist draft up a few concepts and we took that over to Prolific. We started off with 4 broader concepts, narrowed it down to 2, and then picked one from those. Something important to note when running surveys on designs. It's not about one design being better than the other, because designs are quite subjective. It's just what someone prefers. It's not a functionality check. And what we were looking for was which design had the broadest appeal to the most number of people. We then handed that final design over to the 3D artist to make the mock-up. And that's where we ran into our next problem. We were then told that, hey, this 2D design needs to come to us in layers. So that meant going back to our 2D artists and asking them to rework the design to build in layers to it so they could be turned into 3D a lot easier. So after we made the corrections, the 3D file was completed and we handed it over to the factory. And that's when we hit our next problem. They asked us, do we want a rounded spine or a flat spine? And it became apparent that we weren't aligned.